This is week 8 of this thing I'm doing.
There's 8 million people in the UK have a compulsive buying disorder.
Shopping is my life. Like, I live to shop. I'm not married yet, and shopping is like my husband.
I love to thrift whenever I get the chance. I'm always hoping to find a retro console to add to my stash personally. Maybe just some cool little trinket. For instance, I found this Microsoft Sidewinder controller a while back. It's basically Microsoft Xbox controller before the Xbox. Just a cool little piece of gaming history that came completely out of the blue at a thrift store. I'm hoping if I could figure out how to connect it to my MacBook, I might even use it to test Philippine. I think that'd be fun. Enough of that though, onto the projects. Each week this summer, I'm working on 3 separate projects. For these projects, I'll be using MuseScore for music, Maya for 3D, and Godot for games, along with a handful of other programs. Let's get on with it.
Get on with it! Yes! Get on with it!
I start today by watching a few videos to get myself kind of in the right mindset for making music. Cadence Hira made a really good video about musical scales explained through Nintendo Music, and I found it both helpful and a great way to kick off the week. With those ideas in mind from her video, I started diving into what I wanted to do for this week's score. I went through all the synthesizer instruments MuseScore offered, and I filtered through which ones of them I kind of liked. And I found a few that felt closer to Mark Menza's style, without simply reusing the same instruments I've done previously. So after picking out all my instruments, I wanted to try and build something around the harmonic scale. I adjusted notes, their lengths, added slight variations to them, and generally I kept the same directional movement just throughout that whole scale while experimenting with different ideas. By the end of the session though, the results weren't great. I don't think the process was the problem. I think I just need to manage my instrument choice better if I want to stay closer to Mark Menza's style that I'm aiming for. It was an alright day though for the GT Score project.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier and welcome to Cave Crawler, a game where you're crawling through caves. I believe you're looking for dead bodies, or live bodies. I'm not sure which would be more appropriate in this situation.
I'm giving Maya another chance for the Gravetaur project. I was taking on way too much at once trying to learn rigging while also mastering armor paint. For now though, I think I need to stick to what I already know until I reach a point where I feel comfortable expanding outwards. So this week, I'm modeling an environment for Gravetaur. Hoping to recreate this shot from the little Gravetaur comic I made, where he's peering outside the cave he's been in. This takes place near the beginning of Gravetaur's journey, where he exits the cave during an Arctic blizzard. There's a few different ways to design a cave. One option is to have it carved into the side of a mountain or cliff. Another is the classic hole in the ground entrance. The style I'm going for is probably best seen in SpongeBob. It's the type of cave that sort of just pops up out of the ground. JoJo has a great example of it too. With those references in mind, I started building out the environment. Post Gravetaur the way I wanted, I needed to set up the rig again. This is not the week where I want to be fixing every problem the rig has, so I'm mostly working around them. For example, the right hand was having some issues. So rather than dealing with it, I just hit it. So now it's invisible. Overall, this is laying out some solid groundwork, and I think by the next time I work on Maya and this Gravetaur project, the process will be much more noticeable. It's been a good day for the Gravetaur project.
But so far I haven't felt like that squeeze.
There we go. So it's all about leverage, and I don't know where my feet are here.
Something I want to show you. Something magical and full of wonder. It's called a...
Thinking about the soundtrack for this level, I feel there would be nothing better as an inspiration for this Dr. Seuss themed area than the soundtrack from Mike Myers' The Cat in the Hat. So to make the soundtrack for this, I picked out a selection of Bubsy's sound fonts that best matched the sort of vibe of that small melody that plays in that movie, and I kind of went from there. The original melody I made a few days ago felt better suited for a little victory animation, kind of like something you hear from Kirby when you complete a stage. Anyways, today was also a level design day, so I busted out the good old pen and paper and got to work. The first section of the level was already mapped out, all the way to the floating sky island I have there, where you'll see you get the main weapon of the game. Everything after that though was completely new. One thing I wanted to do was have this vertical falling section similar to Super Mario Bros. 2. I think it's turning out pretty well, and overall it's been a good day for the Philippine project.
Wow, dude!
I watched 2 videos today just to get into the GT score mindset. I watched the video How to Learn to Write for an Orchestra by 8-Bit Music Theory, and MuseScore Tips and Tricks by Dylan Made Music. As for the project itself, I made a bunch of different melodies. Some of them sounded vaguely Arabian, others were more just basic. Eventually though, I settled on one idea that, while short, I felt like it had more potential than the others. Not a terrible day, but nothing too crazy either.
He's in the walls. He's in the goddamn wall!
Looking at caves in general, they tend to have this kind of layered appearance, like material has slowly over time built on top of each other. So to capture that look, I wanted cave walls in here to be made up of a lot of overlapping geometry stacked one against the other. Also added some spikes throughout the environment to make the image a little more visually interesting. Anyways, something that I haven't mentioned about Gravetaur yet. He carries this massive silver book on his back. It's something he chooses to carry around everywhere he goes, and it's important enough to him that he's literally chained himself to it using heavy metal chains. It was honestly pretty fun layering all the chains together, and overall it ended up being a really enjoyable day for the Gravetaur project. I spent today continuing to tune up the level 1 song, deciding which instruments should handle different parts differently. After that, I figured it'd be nice to start brainstorming some sound effects. When I was combing through the Bubsy sound font, I needed some way to keep track of what every sound actually was. So I went through each one and gave it a quick 3-word summary. While doing that, I found a bunch of sounds that worked great for Philippine and some of the enemies. So I did some tinkering and managed to get the sound I was hoping for. After that, I spent the rest of the day putting together the layout for the entire first level. I'm really looking forward to adding sound effects and enemies into the level at a later point, but overall it was a great day for the Philippine project.